All right, Kim Baker here with the Victor Survivor Conqueror Ministry. I switched over to recording. I'm going to record tonight's material, and then I'll be able to post it. Apologize for if you tuned in at 7 and you wasn't able to find me. I was having some computer issues, but I wanted uh, to go ahead and record it, and then that way I can post it. Okay, so starting out tonight, we've been talking about what last week we talked about what forgiveness is. So tonight we're going to talk a lot more about what forgiveness isn't. Okay, but before we proceed with the material, I have a short, about 4 minutes long, little video that I wanted to share with you about forgiveness. Okay. What is wrong now? Um, Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. It really shows the power of forgiveness. And before we go on into the study tonight, my question is, what storm are you going through right now? Okay, we have started a new Facebook page called Surviving the Storm. We have our Victim Survivor Conqueror ministry that is more geared to people that suffered abuse. So, what is the storm you're going through? You know, my prayer is whatever that storm is and whatever you're going through right now, is that it doesn't get to the point where a mom is dead, a father's in prison locked up, and a son that was put right in the middle of it. Before it escalates to that level, let's take a deep look at ourselves and see where we're at, what we're holding on to, and why we're not willing to forgive. If this young man can forgive that, then we can forgive also. Okay? So, what is forgiveness not? Okay? Here is a huge misconception about forgiveness. Is that a lot of times, a lot of people think or believe that if they forgive, then they're taking justice out of God's hands. No, that's not the case. Just because you genuinely forgive does not take or does not circumvent God's justice. God is very plain. Vengeance is mine. I will repay. Okay? No. When we forgive, it allows God to execute His justice in His time and in His way. Okay? And guess what? You will never know when God is executing His justice on your behalf. He's not going to let you know. He is not going to let you see. Okay? Because just think about it. Would you want people to know or people to see when you are receiving God's justice on why you're receiving that justice at this time? No. You wouldn't want that, and I wouldn't want that. Nobody would. Okay? Forgiveness is not waiting for time to heal all wounds. Okay? Time will not and does not heal wounds. Okay? Time can't do that. And one of the main reasons why okay, that wounds don't heal is because of us. We won't allow healing to take place. Okay? Now, will time make things easier? Yeah, it can. But it will not heal. Time does not have the capability of healing any wound you have suffered. Forgiveness is not letting the guilty off the hook. Okay? Well, the lady that wrote a lot of this material, she does seminars. And when she does a seminar on forgiveness, she has she got a big old 3-foot long meat hook. Okay? It's got a deal at one end that'll fit over your head and lay on your shoulders, and then it points down, and then it's got a hook on the end. Okay, it looks like a big fish hook or whatever. Okay, and what she does, she takes a burlap bag, like maybe an old-fashioned potato sack or something like that, and puts it on that hook, and then she starts adding rocks to it. Okay, and she asks people come up on stage, put that hook on, and she starts putting these rocks in there. Is it getting harder to carry? The more you put it in there, it gets harder to carry, don't it? Well, so this is what this is referring to. What she's referring to here is, just because you offer forgiveness doesn't mean you're letting the guilty off the hook. Okay? No. What you're actually doing, you're removing that hook from you, and you're reaching up and you say, God, I'm tired. I'm tired, God. You care for me. Okay? And what we do, we move it over and we let God deal with it. Okay? Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. Okay? It's not. It's not the same. It takes two for reconciliation, and it only takes one to offer forgiveness. Okay? All it takes is one. Forgiveness is not excusing unjust behavior. Absolutely. It is acknowledging that the unjust behavior is without excuse, while still forgiving. Okay? But it's not saying that what happened was right. When you offer forgiveness, that doesn't turn the act or the offense from being wrong to being right. No. Doesn't work that way. Okay? Forgiveness is not taking away the hurt. It is working through the hurt. Okay? Forgiveness is not being a weak martyr. Okay? Well, if I forgive, it'll make it look like I'm weak. No. I'm going to tell you something. If you're able to forgive, truly forgive, that shows how strong you really are. Okay? Yeah. It is being strong enough to be Christ-like, because you're offering something that the other person didn't deserve. Just as Jesus Christ offered something to us that we did not deserve. Forgive is not stuffing your anger. It's not taking the anger from the childhood sexual abuse, from the verbal and emotional abuse, and say, well, I'm not allowed to ever be angry over that. No. Forgiveness really has nothing to do with your anger. But I will tell you this, when you truly forgive, then you will get your anger under control. No, it is resolving your anger by releasing the offense to God. Absolutely. Forgiveness is not a natural response. You agree with that? Yeah, no, it's not. It's not natural. Okay? It's a supernatural response empowered by Yahweh or God. God empowers you and me both to be able to forgive. Forgiveness is not denying the hurt. It's feeling the hurt and releasing it, letting it go. I don't want to be in bondage to it anymore. Forgiveness is not being a doormat. Okay? Do you think Jesus was a doormat? No, absolutely not. None of us would say that Jesus was a doormat. But if forgiving is being a doormat, then Jesus would have been the greatest doormat of all. Okay? And forgiveness is not conditional. Okay? All right, I'll forgive, but, okay? And that's where we get into those buts. But. Forgiveness is conditional. Is not conditional. We're commanded to give it without receiving anything in return. Okay? It is unconditional. It is a mandate. It is a commandment from God. Is it from God just to Jesus? Is it a mandate from disciples? No. Every single living human being. Forgiveness is not a feeling. Well, I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like I should. Okay? Forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a choice. It's an act of our will. It's an act of our will lining up with the Father's will. Okay? Forgiveness is not forgetting. Okay? Be nice if we had holy amnesia. Yeah. But we don't. Okay? Why? Because it is necessary to remember before you can forgive. Okay? Corrie ten Boom. Love Corrie ten Boom. Forgiveness is an act of the will and can function regardless of the temperature of the heart. Genesis chapter 50 and 20 says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what now being done, the saving of many lives." Okay? But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Matthew chapter 5, verse 23. I want to share a little story about this. This was 2, maybe 3 years ago. During class one night, we were on this subject. We were getting right here to this scripture. And I had a young lady attending the class, and I read this scripture out loud, slowly. And all of a sudden, I heard something over to my left, and that's where she always sat in class. And she started crying. And I'm like, are you you okay? Do you want to talk about something? Is there something you want to talk about? Or and she sat there and she cried for just, for a few minutes. And she looked up, she said, I've read that scripture I don't know how many times. I've heard that scripture so many times. But I never really heard it until tonight. Does that mean what I think it means? Yeah. Yeah, it does. And she shared with me later on that right there, that slide changed everything for her. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, your Father in heaven will not forgive you your trespasses. You're not willing to offer forgiveness to someone else? Okay. That's your choice. You have a right to make that decision. You have a free will. You can choose to obey it or not. Okay? But just understand this. If you are willing to disobey this command, then you need to be prepared to suffer the consequences, to pay the consequences. Okay? And I say it every time. I ought to be able to come right here to this slide number 32. No, you can't see the number on there. But we ought to be able to come to slide number 32, and that ends it. That should end this study completely. That if you will get this scripture in your heart, if you will bury this scripture deep in your heart and in your mind and in your subconscious, if I don't feel like forgiving, how can I be asked to forgive? That doesn't seem right. If I don't want to do it, it don't seem right that I should have Okay? Again. Okay? Again. You have that right. You don't want to forgive? Don't forgive. Okay? But just like we talked about with that last slide, you better be willing to suffer the consequences of that decision. Okay? Forgiveness is not based on a feeling, but rather on the fact that we, all of us, are called by God to forgive. We just read it, Matthew chapter 5, verse 23. Okay? Because forgiveness is not in motion. It's not an emotion, but is rather it's an act of the will. Therefore, what seems right based on feelings can only be wrong. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you, but your feelings are wrong. There's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, it leads to death. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12. Okay? Your way of not obeying that command in Matthew chapter 5, verse 23, you choose not to forgive. That's your choice. Okay? That's your way. That's your will. Okay? Seems right, don't it? Yep. You say, okay, yeah, it seems right to me. Look at the very end again. But in the end, it leads to death. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12. Forgiveness does not excuse their behavior. Forgiveness prevents their behavior from destroying your heart. That's it. You forgiving people that hurt you, all it is doing, it is healing your heart. Because without forgiveness, without healing, you will destroy your heart. You having issues at home? Is your marriage on the rocks? Is it breaking? Guess what? It could be because you're not willing to forgive someone. Okay? All right. We're going to stop right there for tonight. And next week, we're going to pick up what does it mean to forgive others? Okay? So what does it actually mean to forgive others? All right. Again, I'm very sorry for the mishap with the computer tonight. But I hope you got something out of this tonight. And I hope you enjoyed the video at the first of this. I just forgiveness is something that we really need to grasp a hold of and understand. We need to understand what it is and what it's not. And then we need to understand why does it matter. Okay? So we'll pick back up here next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. with God willing, and we'll pick back up with what does it mean to forgive others. God bless and have a great rest of your week.